Kankan is definitely one of my favorite rappers to have blown up in the underground over the past 5 years. As a lot of us are probably aware, he's been taking a break from music for the past probably like year and a half. But in recent Instagram stories and Twitter posts, he's been teasing that an upcoming tape might possibly drop soon. Now, if you scroll through my YouTube channel, you'll see that I've done a few videos on Kankan focusing on his signature ambient sound. This ambient type of sound has really been sculpted with the help of producers like 22 Nate, Pilgrim, and Axe Jr. And there's definitely a ton more that have had their hand in helping create this sound, but those three really stand out as pillars in my opinion. Clearly, this type of sound is really important to me as it's kind of sculpted my producing style as well. And I figured it would only be right to do another one of these videos since Kankan is planning to drop a tape soon. So with all that being said, I'm going to show you guys how I made this classic ambient style beat for Kankan. Alright, first off, I just want to apologize for my lighting if it's not the greatest. My ring light just RIP'd on me this morning, so I will not be using that. I ordered a new one though, so next week's video should be back to normal. But yeah, let's just hop right into this. So first of all, we're at 131 BPM. For any of these ambient Kankan beats, you've probably seen in my other tutorials, I usually keep it anywhere from like 125 to 135. Anywhere in that like slower range is the best for this style. And in my true fashion of these Kankan videos, it wouldn't be right if I didn't have a MIDI from Terps. It's really just these simple chords. I put this Pigments preset on, and I'm using the Falling Skies 14 from the Falling Skies bonus bank by Haze. Obviously, the most important step that I like to do right away is just create that atmosphere. So I like to get any sort of pad or any sort of just kind of like textural ambience that I can just kind of lay down a foundation right away. Next thing, I just took the same chords and pitched the voicings around a little bit and then added a couple of these top notes. And for this sound, it's more of like a rhythmic pad that adds some melodic elements to the loop. And we're using this ARP Steady Aim preset. And this is coming from the Kavi Confessions 2 bank. So like I said, really kind of adds a lot of motion and movement to the loop. In my opinion, it reminds me of the song X 'Em Out by Kankan from Way Too Geeked. Then moving on, we've got this sort of pluck pattern that I see like Axe Jr. and 22 Nate doing a lot in their production for these ambient styles of beats. It's just kind of one pattern that repeats itself a bunch, but it creates a super catchy rhythm. So we're in Serum for this pluck, and I got this key from my 2K stash kit. It's called We. So like I said, just creates a really nice kind of background ambient layer, but also has a little bit of the plucks bleeding through to give it that melodic element. Next, we got one of my favorite basses of all time. This is the Biology bass from me and Gateway's Whiteout sound kit. I use this bass on a lot of tutorials I do on this channel. You guys have probably seen it a bunch before, but all I did was I just took the root notes of the original MIDI and copied them over. So then I added another pluck pattern from Serum, and I'm using this Lead Nobody preset from me and Kersey's Bloom 2 sound kit. So I took inspiration for this pluck from the songs like See You by Kankan, stuff like Fall On, sort of just that super melodic, spacey bell/pluck sound. Then the last thing I added was a splice sample that's just kind of like a super ambient vocal pad type of thing, but it just sounds like this. I have it sort of like bleeding into the first half, and then it plays fully in the second. So that's it for the entire loop. I will play the first and second half together so you guys can hear what it sounds like all together. All right, let's hop over to the drums now. So the percussion and drum bounce for these beats really, to me, is heavily inspired by 22 Nate. Two things you'll hear a lot is that sort of like real subby 808, and then also the hi-hat patterns and snare bounces are usually pretty crazy and just kind of like sort of wacky offbeat almost, but they do a good job of establishing like an overall bounce. So starting off, we got this clap. So right away you can see that technique of just kind of having stuff a little bit off grid. Next we got the 808, and I'm using a super subby but punchy 808. Again, following that same technique of kind of just offsetting stuff to give it a little bit more bounce. Then we got the hi-hat for this. Once again, reinforcing the just like sort of weird patterns. You know, you got to get real creative with these. A lot of the times what I'll do is just kind of put in a two-step pattern right away and then start removing stuff or like moving stuff off grid, duplicating it, you know, adding these like weird like third steps or like sixth steps. Just really gives these hi-hats a really good bounce. Then we got another snare coming in for just some extra kind of accents. Then I got this perk that just comes in and kind of fills in some of the gaps. Then really the last thing I did was just add this open hat. And then one thing I like to do is just kind of add some like little effects at the beginning of every 32 bars. Just so that when everything kind of like repeats, the listener is subtly aware that like, okay, the hook's about to come back in. Yeah, that's it for this whole beat. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow me on Instagram so I can get to 3K. I'm working on my 3K drum kit, trying to drop that as soon as we can. But yeah, other than that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.